Greetings and welcome to From the Basement. In this episode, we're going to take a look at creating hazards for the koala game. So far we've got the koalas moving. We have the ability for the koalas to exit the maze. We don't really have anything to threaten the koalas with yet, though. So let's fix that. Let's put some hazards in there, challenges for the player to overcome. First step is to get a dead koala, which I know sounds kind of horrible when you say that, but we really need dead koalas. What we're going to do is that, when the koala runs into an obstacle, we're going to change it into a dead koala, let it fall off the screen, and then once it's fallen off the screen, restart the room. So we're going to go ahead and create an object. I'm going to call this dead koala. We have a dead koala sprite that I shall grab. And what we'll do on this one is we'll set it moving in a direction. We're also going to turn on gravity, so that way the koala sort of makes this nice little arch and falls down to off the bottom of the screen. So we're going to add in a create event. We're going to do a move free action. Direction of 80, which isn't quite straight up. It's angled a little bit to the right. And then a speed of 15. Which is pretty fast. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on gravity, which is this double down arrow here. Now what gravity does is it applies a force in the direction that you indicate every step. So we don't need the gravity to be very strong. So we're going to do 270. Remember, if your degrees on a circle, 0, 90, 180, 270. And we'll only set it to 2. Remember, that's going to be adding a vector strength of 0.2 to the movement every step. So after a single second worth of operation, there's going to be a movement force of 60 applied in the down direction. Gravity can get out of control really fast. You gotta watch this guy. And that will pull the koala pretty quickly off the screen. Now, normally we might want to put in some limiters here on the gravity, but in this case we don't need to worry about it. The next thing we need to do is when the koala is fully outside the room, we need to deal with that. So we're going to do other outside room. Now the book, again, is using the sleep operation here, which we do not have. So we will go to main 2. We will drag in the show message box. And we will say, try again, in place of the sleep command. Then after that, we'll come back over here to room or main 1, and we'll do a reset room command. So that way the player can try that room again. We don't need to take the player all the way back. Again, that would be very frustrating for the player in this case. This is a puzzle game. Generally speaking, you don't force players to go all the way back to the first puzzle that they've already solved if they fail the 4th puzzle. You let them continue to work at the 4th puzzle until they solve it. So we want to restart the room, not go all the way back to the main menu. So that gives us our dead koala. And just to make sure that he works, I'm going to bring up the logic test room here. Drop in a dead koala manually. And, oh, apparently I still have it running in the background from last time. Hit the play button. Go to the next level. Nope. Now you can see here the outside room is being triggered before the draw update happens, so we can still see the dead koala on the edge there. Unfortunately, this isn't something we can really fix to any degree with any degree of ease, so we'll just go ahead and leave that in there. Alright, so we've got our dead koala working. I don't really want you in there right now, dead koala, so I'm going to get rid of you. So with our dead koala working, we can put in our hazards now. Let's start off with the TNT, because that's the easiest hazard to do. It's just a static hazard. Player can't run into it. So we will create an object. We'll call this TNT. We will set the sprite to the TNT sprite. This guy's pretty simple. We're just going to wait for a collision with a koala. So we will add event collision with a koala. And once we collide with the koala, we'll just simply turn it into an instance of a dead koala with perform events. So I'm going to go to main. I'm going to use change instance. Other, make sure you change the koala, not the TNT. I'm going to change the other into a dead koala. Perform events, yes, which again should be more correctly called do create event. So we want the create event to run on this guy. And I'm also going to change my depth to 10 just to make sure the koala never appears underneath the TNT. And so with that, I can now go into the hazard test room and drop in a block of TNT. Next. And that was unexpected. It shouldn't have... we encountered a bug. It tried to advance us to the next room, even though we've got a dead koala here. Which, if you think about it, makes perfect sense, but it is something that you might not be expecting. I honestly was expecting it. That just caught me a little bit by surprise that, oh, that's right, we got to deal with that now. And again, let's think about everything that we have going on here. What could be causing this? So I run in here, and it's giving me level cleared. Wait, what? No, I didn't clear the level. I killed my koala. I mean, I can clear my levels by killing all my koalas? No, this is koala rescue, not koala kill them all. And of course, there's no next room. So what's happening? Well, a dead koala is not a koala. See the logic here? Dead koala is not a koala. So when our controller in our step event is counting koalas, oh, there's no koalas. Okay, next level. Like completely ignoring the fact that, yeah, there's a dead koala there that we need to deal with. So what we need to do is we need to adjust this to account for dead koalas. So we're going to go into control. We're going to drop in another count, and we need to count dead koalas equal to 0. So inside our step event on our controller, we need to do a test instance count dead koala 0 equal to OK. Now, if I wanted to be really strictly correct, I could put in the start in blocks here. Doesn't really matter. You get the same effect with or without the start blocks. It can be a very useful way, by the way, to chain together these if questions. If you've got 4 or 5 different ifs in a very specific situation, we're saying, oh, if this is true, and if this is not true, and if this is true, then do this. You can just chain them together. If you've got else's mixed in there, I would highly recommend you use the start and end blocks to keep everything straight. Okay, and now with that alteration, I should be able to, well, mostly test that. It's still going to not be happy with me, as in I'll have to reset the room. But so I come in here, try again, reset. And that's what we were expecting. You know, sometimes we can get the koala all the way off the screen. Other times it seems like his furry little body is stuck like that. It really depends on just how fast he falls. Right there we got his the tips of his ears. It's kind of a little bit of randomness about where precisely the koala hits the TNT. All right, so we've got that working. We've got our TNT working. Let's go ahead and get some buzzsaws in, and then we'll take a look at some other hazards as well. So the buzzsaws, they're pretty simple. create an object, grab the buzzsaw horizontal. I'm going to call this saw horizontal. And how this guy works is it's just going to bounce back and forth between two solid objects. So first of all, we've got to start it moving. So we'll add in a create event. And we'll start it randomly choosing between these two directions. And we'll set its speed to 4. We don't want these moving too fast. I mean, we want the player to have the ability to get through these things. So speed of 4. And then what we will do is we will add in a collision with a wall. And have it bounce. So bounce. And here's a nice little thing. We're going to tell it to bounce only against solid objects. And if we collide with a koala, we're going to kill it. So collision with a koala. We're going to change the koala instance, so other, into a dead koala, perform events, yes. Okay, and this, by the way, is how we're getting around the fact that a koala is also a wall. You might think, well, I don't really want the saw to bounce off of the koala after it kills it. That would look kind of odd. But remember, a koala is a koala first. So we collide with a koala. Oh, it's a koala. We'll handle this one. Against walls, it'll bounce against walls. And apparently the World Cup offer is up. Go away, Avast. Okay, so we've got that saw. Let's go ahead and add in a little bit better test framework here. So I'm going to go to Tiles. I'm just going to grab... Actually, we'll just put that one right there. And objects, put in a wall. Put in a saw, hit the play button. Notice for the test rooms, I'm not really concerned about the tiles matching up. I could really care less about my tiles matching up in the test room. And as expected, running into it, it's running into me. Speed on the paranoid side, get tested from the other side. All right, it works. Vertical saw is going to be pretty much the same thing. So while I'm in here, drop in some modifications there, create an object, call this saw vertical, set the appropriate sprite, add a create event, same speed, only up and down instead of left and right. And our collision event will be the exact same. We collide with a koala, and we change it into a dead one. Oops, make sure you get that other selected. Don't want the saw changing into a koala. That would look a little weird. And perform events, yes. Pretty much identical to the vertical saw, just with a different sprite in a different direction. And objects. Okay, I'm on my saw vertical. Drop it in there. Whoops. And see, that's what you get for going too fast. I know exactly what I forgot to put in. I forgot to put in my collision with walls here. So add event, collision with a wall, and bounce. Actually, just remembered something. The book uses reverse vertical and reverse horizontal direction which honestly is probably a safer thing to use. Bounce, especially if you do it bounce precisely, if you're even 1 degree off, it can result in some very interesting results. Now, of course, they shouldn't be a degree off. Floating point error might possibly get them to go off. So it really is better, instead of saying bounce, to use the reverse. So this is my vertical saw. So reverse vertical on self. And on my horizontal saw, reverse horizontal. Test to make sure that change did not break anything. And to verify that I fixed my vertical saws. There we go, it's bouncing properly now. Running into the saw was a foolhardy endeavor. There we go. So, saws are working. We've got a couple more things here we want to put in. We want to get in before we start taking a look at level progression, training the player how to play our game. We need to put in detonators for the TNT and switches and locks. So let's get the detonator in first. So create an object, detonator, set the sprite. Okay, now this one's a little bit different. The detonator is an animated sprite. So we're going to need a create event, and we're going to need to set our sprite to the detonator sprite subimage 0 speed 0. Otherwise, the lever on the detonator is going to be like spazzing out and like vibrating up and down. So we need that change sprite in there. Next, the detonator is going to be somewhat like the exits. We don't want it to activate until we have a koala fully on top of it. So we're going to add an event. We're going to do a collision with a koala. And we're going to check to make sure that the koala is aligned to the grid. So we're going to check to see if the other is aligned to a 40 by 40 grid. And if the koala is aligned to a 40 by 40 grid, first thing we're going to do is destroy all TNT on the map. So we'll go to main 1, we'll do a destroy. Obviously, a self or other won't work. We have to use an object, and that's why we have to use destroy all TNT. Now, we could link the detonators to specific TNT if we were going through the GML language, the Game Maker scripting language. We're not doing that, so we're kind of stuck just nuking it all. So we will destroy object TNT. That will destroy all TNT on the field at once. And then finally, we need to update our animation to show the plunger pushed down. So we'll do a change sprite to the detonator sprite, subimage 1, speed 0. And that will get us our detonator plunge. Now I'm going to sort of forge ahead here and get the locks created before I do another test, because our time is starting to get a little bit long on this video. So I'm going to say this is a switch blue, maze switch blue, and again, this is an animated one, so we need a create event, main 1 sprite, set the sprite to switch blue, subimage 0, speed of 0 to stop the animation. When the koala touches this, collision with a koala, and the koala is fully over the switch, aligned to grid, other, 40-40. We will first destroy all blue locks. So main 1, destroy object. And we haven't created the blue locks yet, so we'll have to come back to that in just a moment. And we will also update our animation image, so change sprite maze, switch blue, subimage 1, speed of 0. Move that up there for the moment. Create an object. We'll call this lock blue. Set it to the appropriate sprite. The locks don't do anything other than we will set them both as solid, and we will set their parent to wall. This means a koala can't walk through it, and a saw will bounce off of it. Very important to mark the solid in this case. We want a solid for our check mark, parent, wall on our blue lock. Now I can come back to my switch blue in the destroy instance and update that to destroy all lock blues. And now I can test both of these logics out. I can go close out my hazard test room here. I'll open up my logic test room. Get rid of my exits. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave in one red exit and one blue exit, just for testing to make sure they're still working. I am then going to drop in a piece of TNT that has detonator right next to it. And also, just for grins, going to make sure I can't actually reach the TNT. This is not my hazard test room after all. I'm also going to put in a lock, and I'm going to put in a switch. Hit the play button. Go to the next level. If I hit the plunger, it goes away. Plunger's down. I cannot walk through the lock. Switch works. Now, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and create the switch yellow and switch red. There's no additional logic or anything else. They're just different colored switches, so that way you can have up to 3 switches in the same scene. So, hit the red switch to get to the blue switch, which then can get you to the yellow switch, which then can get you to the detonator, which then can get you out of the level, type of thing. So those switches, I'll do those off camera. Those are simple to do. So obviously between now and the next time you watch the video, also get your blue and red switches in. And on the next level, we will take a look at actually creating the levels. How do you go about teaching the player how to play your game? So until next time.